Welcome, friends. This is another episode of Someone Asked with the pastors from Circle of Hope. Glad we're here and doing this, and I hope that you enjoy watching them too. Be sure to give us feedback and share this with your friends so we know it's worth it. Advent is something that we make a big deal about in Circle of Hope, and we think it's worth making a big deal about. But a big question is, why do we do that? Why do we make such a big deal about Advent, this season of awaiting Jesus' birth into the world? Joshua, what do you say?
Well, besides a long church history of the celebrations with various kinds of ceremony or imagery, I think it takes at least that long to prepare for the coming of Jesus, which is really the most astounding thing to ever happen.
The incarnation of Jesus, the incarnation of God in Jesus is so crucial to what we know about God and how we are saved that it deserves a lot of meditation. It's a meditation season where we can actually turn our sights on these important bases for our faith. Someone said the other day, says, what are you talking about the coming of Jesus for? Didn't he already come? What have we been talking about? Which made me say, yeah, I'm glad we're having Advent so you can figure out how to welcome Jesus in your own body, into your own time, into your own habits of how you use your time. This is what God's doing, is commingling with us in our own time. And we don't really know much about it, so it's good to emphasize it.
Yeah, and if we just make it about one day, Christmas Day, which is sort of arbitrary anyway, we might miss it. We might miss the importance of it and the sacredness of it. Even the whole season leads to something, and our culture has so stripped Christmas of that meaning that if it's just about the day, it might happen too quick, and it might be over, and you may not have actually rested in the importance of it.
Yeah, I'm thankful that Advent hasn't received as much propaganda surrounding it and hasn't been commercialized the same way that the term Christmas has. And so when we're doing Advent, we're explicitly meditating and contemplating about where Jesus needs to be born in us. I need the time to do that, and I need to think about it. And it is a good reminder to do it again, and it's great to do it in community with all of Circle of Hope and with most Christians around the world.
The paradox I love about Advent is you could read the Matthew and Luke narratives almost as a horror story. I mean, it's really dark stuff for the most part, and within that milieu and that struggling place, God makes God's self incredibly vulnerable in this baby, and with that baby comes the light of all the world and this incredible hope that's born. So I personally love that paradox where you have this this despair and this danger, but also you have this incredible hope that is going to come to fruition.
Yeah, I feel that, Joshua. The Benjamin Britten's song, "The Babe," where they talk about the babe just 3 days old, has come to rifle Satan's fold. And that to me, in the darkest days of the year that I hate so much, that just drive me crazy when it gets to be about December 20th or something. And it's so dark. That's when the light is born. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the reasons we can't do Advent, Johnny, is because of the people just won't tolerate that reality. They need fluffy snowman or something like that. I just saw that at Macy's just now. Where we got snowman dancing around. It's just so absurd how to manage to stay in total denial by having a dancing snowman, rather than actually experiencing the cold. Jesus is experiencing the cold with us, and Advent just kind of drags you into that reality.
It's such a good application too. I was just talking to some other people this morning, other Christians praying with the Kingdom Builders, this group of Anabaptists, and thinking about all the trouble in the world with the racial tension in the United States, systemic racism, police brutality, the CIA report of all this torture that's happened in the Middle East and maybe continues to happen. That darkness, I think I need to be present to, and be present to the light that pierces the darkness, like John says. I like John's account of Advent in that first chapter because he kind of boils it down to the most important part. The incarnation of Jesus, the Word becoming flesh, and bringing light to us.
I like stepping in year after year into the waiting. You know, the prophets who were waiting, John the Baptist who was waiting, Mary who had to go through 9 months of waiting. The whole world waits in expectation. And I feel like a lot of people in the dark days, Rod, that you're talking about, they're waiting for something to happen sometimes. I like entering into that. I think I can stand in solidarity with people who are waiting, even when they don't know what they're waiting for. They're waiting for that light to shine and for Jesus to be born. I like being there with them and pointing them to what's actually happening in the world every year.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to wait for Christmas, because my parents, who didn't really have any money, like spent their entire disposable income for the year by stuffing the living room with stuff, and in the great capitalist celebration that they were enamored of, upwardly mobile as they were. I stripped that from my kids' celebration and wouldn't even give them presents on Christmas because I thought it was my Christian duty to violate the capitalist holiday that takes up the entire winter season, that was devoted to the birth of Jesus into the world. They totally just cover it over with crap and stuff your house full of nonsense rather than actually having Jesus born in your life. And it said we gotta have Advent to make sure that we'd say something about that.
Absolutely.
Teaching kids.
Joshua, why don't you wrap us up here?
Okay.
Give us your final thought.
Sure. Advent is really good for discipleship, especially teaching kids about what is really meaningful about this time of year and how God responds to our suffering. And to center it with Advent and the Jesus story, I think is beautiful. And then, like Rod's saying, Christmas even gets a bigger thing, even as the family, the church, and some relatives celebrate. And then there's this kind of American amalgamation of, pagan stuff and capitalist stuff and this gross consumerism that they have to learn how to navigate these levels in different parts of society in their lives. And I think Advent helps them to do that. And Advent helps us to express this true beauty in celebrating the birth of Jesus. And by participating each year, I get a sense of renewal, and I get a sense of Christ coming in a new way for me.
Well, thanks, guys, for sharing and for talking about this subject. And thank you for watching. I hope that you subscribe or share it or spread it around if you think it's worth spreading around. We do. So we'll see you next time.